besties. You're currently watching The Vomitorium. You can support the show at www.streamlabs.com/Vomitorium Live. Enjoy the show!
I bring chaos, I bring destruction. My iron body is invincible might. My heart is dead, I lack compassion. I will tell you what it means to fight. I love darkness, I love the light. My medium strike makes life disappear.
Hiya, besties! Did you know that everything becomes a crab eventually? Even you, bestie! That's a bit scary, isn't it? But don't worry, you can find comfort here, watching the Vomitorium. You and other fellow soon-to-be crabs can also support the Vomitorium at www.streamlabs.com/Vomitorium Live.
How is everybody? Apparently, I'm flying solo today. Mars has not answered a single one of my texts. Makes me think he is fast asleep. So, actually, let me type this out in the Discord. I can't reach my keyboard. There we go. So, I'm pretty sure Marsupial is dead. If anyone else wants on, let me know. Okay, and then we'll get on with the show. Let's see. How are you all doing? Ooh. Welcome to the Vomitorium. As always, I'm your host, The Metal. Let's see, it sounds like trademark Spoop's coma. Yeah, it does. Hello there, good night, Spoon. Yeah, as always, I'm your host, The Metal, and not joining me today is Marsupial Gamer, apparently. Oh well. But we still have things on the agenda. Starting off, first, depressing news, as I'm sure everybody knows by now, but yesterday, the best Batman, Kevin Conroy, voice of him in the animated series, passed away. I did not see how he passed away, though. Not that it ultimately makes a difference, but it's sad to lose such a great voice actor. And honestly, the person I think of anytime Batman comes to my head, it's always that cartoon, and I hear his voice coming out. If I'm reading a Batman comic, Conroy's voice is the one that goes on in my head as well. So that is very, very sad. But, you know, he'll live in our hearts forever. In fact, I think the real way to honor his life is for anybody who hasn't seen Batman the Animated Series, you go out of your way and strap them down to a chair and force them to watch Batman the Animated Series against their will. Trust me, they'll thank you eventually. I know it's technically like a form of media rape, but they'll be glad afterwards, okay? Remember, it's not rape if they enjoy it. Watermelon Smasher died too, oh no. People are dying left and right. Kind of because humans are fragile, it happens, yeah. No, that's sad. Yeah, we got to start off with the depressing news. Something to make up more depressing than Marsupial not showing up here today. You know, we gotta up the ante. I tried texting him like, I don't know, 15 times. He doesn't answer when he's asleep. Obviously, if somebody does answer when they're asleep, that's kind of concerning. It'd be like Wallace in the Scott Pilgrim movie texting. It's like, I don't know. But I mostly just sent him a cavalcade of emojis, ranging from cool guy with the sunglasses to depression to dying, and then a halo. So I hope he can interpret those messages when he does eventually wake up and understand what I meant. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Not much to say on the death of Kevin Conroy, other than the fact that you should force people to watch the show. I think it's the definitive version of Batman. It captures the best of what he should be. Taking the kind of grounded approach that he was in the original comics, but then bringing more of that serious tone that you get later on, while keeping it modernly kid-friendly. Like, I don't even remember if anybody died in the Batman the Animated Series. But it was still very serious, covered dark themes very well. It didn't actually pull its punches, so. Rest in peace, Mr. Conroy. What else have? Oh, well, I guess because Marsupial didn't like this, like, at all. I don't know why, but since he's not here, I can talk about it. Oh, hey, Fish shows us in the waiting room. Hey, how you doing?
Everybody.
Yeah, I literally just tabbed over to see if anybody wanted to come in, and I saw you in there.
Yeah. I was shocked to find Kevin Conroy died so early.
So how are you doing today?
I'm all right.
Yeah. I mean, aside from obviously hearing about Conroy's death, but that should upset everybody.
Yeah. Also, recently I found out. Okay, I'm for this entire year, I've been studying the history of the Middle East. I why they so shitty. Now let's go why. Actually about a month ago, uh, which is they never recover from the collapse of the Ottoman Empire.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know if anybody will ever recover from the collapse of the Ottoman Empire over there. Like, not without some major restructuring.
Like yeah. That's the thing. All of the Middle East politics for the past 100 years has been around trying to restore the caliphate. Like the caliphate is gone. Like
Yeah.
let it go.
Well, I don't know. I think when it comes to politics, right, especially traditionalism, which they do very much practice a form of traditionalism over there, it's really hard to let things go unless you can come up with some, like, other method of restoring things within the framework of the tradition.
Yeah, because I until this year I didn't know what the caliphate even was. I mean, I've read the Quran before. No one once mentioned that in the book.
I believe that comes from the additional text, because there's, like, other... I can't remember all their names, but they're, like, accompanying text by the other leaders and stuff.
No, that came after the Prophet
afterwards.
died.
Yeah, it did come after the Prophet died, but a lot of the structure of their society comes from those additional texts. Politics on a video game podcast? Hey, I was just as surprised as you were.
Yeah.
Just before you hopped in, I was about to talk about the Weird Al movie.
It came out.
Yes, it's on the Roku channel. I watched it, I think, in between this cast and the last one.
What's his name? The Harry Potter guy. What's his name?
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah.
It's actually really good. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people still talking about that MCU movie, like Wakanda Forever. I'm not even going to see that because what's the point?
Oh yeah, I'm not watching it either. I really don't care about Wakanda Forever.
I mean, Chadwick Boseman's dead. The main selling point of the movie is race swap Namor. Like, what's the point?
Yeah. See, I had the contentious opinion at the time that they should have just recast Chadwick. And, like, I know people are like, oh, you want to honor his death? No, I mean, honoring his memory and stuff would have been continuing the show, right? Like, or the movie or whatever, the program. And if there's any reason, like a good reason to actually recast somebody, it's because the actor died.
Exactly.
Yeah. But like, I don't want to watch a Black Panther movie without Black Panther. That makes no sense. And I know they're bringing in for Shuri, his younger sister, to take over, but I don't care about her. I've never been given a reason to care about her. Even the first Black Panther movie it wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was kind of just like MCU passable. But he did good in his role.
Yeah, so like I'm not like the MCU is dead. That's what I feel. Like it's dead.
Oh yeah. I thought fitting for its name, Endgame was a good bookend for the MCU. I thought it was already dying a bit before that, but that was a good stopping point. And
yeah.
I've been forced, mostly for reviewing sake, into watching some MCU stuff that I had no intention of otherwise. I remember Mars and I watched, what was that? WandaVision all the way through to review it on this show. And it was like, after that, I don't know. I'm just not like feeling
I didn't even watch
with
that.
anything else. It was bad.
I didn't watch that because I didn't care because there's no reason to care about these two characters.
Yeah. It was well, it started out okay, right? Also, I missed it. Hello, Keely Chow. And recast it with Terrence Howard. That would be ironic. I doubt it would ever happen. But yeah, no, it started out pretty good. I liked the whole actual sitcom aspect of it. That part was fine. I thought it was entertaining. It was something fresh. I was enjoying it. I would actually love to see a sitcom about superheroes. Kind of what always made me think of The Tick was kind of sitcom in a way, right? And I like The Tick.
No, he's that wrong. We'll just let things go.
Yeah. But it was, I don't know, after everything that wasn't sitcom-y and everything that went on was horrible in that show. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch any Disney Plus shows. I was kind of interested in Moon Knight, but I heard they switched. I heard it wasn't even about him. It was about some female characters introduced.
No, it was mostly about Moon Knight. I don't know. I saw some bits of it here and there as my mother was watching it, helping her out, and I don't know. It didn't feel like Moon Knight. That was my problem. So for like normies who know nothing about him, I'm sure it was fine. But like, I'm like, that's some mark. That's my problem with most of these shows and movies. I look at the character, I'm like, that's not the character I know. Why do I want to watch this?
Yeah, I mean, I would for a more Daredevil style Moon Knight show. Like
yeah, that would have been great.
Daredevil.
You can still focus on his insanity, but that's what I want you to do. Is I wanted something closer to Daredevil.
Then again, the one problem with MCU is that they escalated so far that that's now nothing but big events.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's also hi Gamotron. Yes, I am dressed as Captain N today, but that's because right now it's 50, which is a little bit warmer than it was earlier. Last night it dropped to 28 degrees, and it's probably going to drop there again, if not lower. So I needed something a little bit warmer, and the Captain N outfit is a jacket on top of a mock turtleneck sweater, so I'm kind of cozy right now. But yeah, no, it's the same problem with Marvel comics. No, sorry, 50 and 28 Fahrenheit, not Celsius. But yeah, Marvel Comics has the same problem, right? Like, so individual titles can still have their kind of like down-to-earth, small-scale stuff, but they've been focusing on event after event since either the late 90s or early aughts, somewhere around there. And I think after like the height of Civil War in the mid-aughts really solidified that they only really want to do events because of how much that sold. Because it forces everybody to buy every single thing that's in the event, right?
And they can't do small stories at all, like on a big screen. That's Disney things. We can't have a big screen Daredevil movie. Got to be a Disney Plus show.
Yeah. Also, they make more money off the shows. I think they would actually prefer more stories to be on the shows than the movies, right? Because you lose more money on the movie if it doesn't do well, while in the show, a lot of it can be written off.
Not to mention, but here's the thing. What if you make a street level superhero movie, you can actually make more money than it costs to make it. Since
oh yeah, low budget.
Exactly. Since all street level superhero you really need is a costume. That's it.
And maybe some effects, but some of this effects you could just do with like wires. Like you could do things practically instead of having to put like a bunch of CGI in there.
Exactly. And it'll be much cheaper to make the movie. So why don't they do street level movies? You'll make more money.
Well, I think that was part of the many reasons why Black Widow was pushed back as long as it was, right? Because for all effects purpose, they're military grade stuff, but Black Widow was kind of a street level movie, you know.
That's because, but in the comic book she has no powers. I mean,
yeah, she has no powers, and even the other people she was dealing with were like street level, right? Like even the strongest guy at his peak in the comics is like a city block level guy, right? And you know, tanks and things like that, that's all technically still street level. And the big problem there, one, they didn't think Black Widow would sell as a main character, but also they didn't think audiences wanted to come and watch that as a superhero movie. 'Cause
But
they don't
people
understand.
did watch that back in the early 2000s all the time.
Oh yeah, but they just don't understand the audience. They really don't.
Like people. Remember people used to watch all that in the early 2000s all the time. Look at Dark Knight.
Yeah. Or even look at a great example, the old Incredible Hulk TV show, right? I mean, it's the Hulk, but it had to be brought down to something that was more street level because that was all the effects they had back then.
Especially since it's on TV. If it's on TV too, so they have a little budget.
Yeah, and that's just what they had to do, and it's like, sure. Oh yeah, even Wonder Woman, like she was Wonder Woman, she could do things that Wonder Woman could do technically, but they didn't actually have her doing any of that stuff because of the TV budget. Like,
I mean, they didn't have
some of the most
invisible jet
impressive
stuff.
things they did was I saw her throw a bomb into orbit, but like you could fake that really easy with TV budget.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't have her use an invisible jet or something
Yeah.
crazy like that. And by the way, I don't think they did that show even use villains from the comics at all.
In the Wonder Woman show,
Yeah,
I
did
don't remember, and they might have once in a blue moon, but you didn't see anyone like. I don't think Cheeto wasn't in it or anything because that would have been too much, like makeup department and stuff like that.
yeah, but you didn't
It's
have.
been a long
did you
time
have
since I
Dr.
watched
Psycho?
it though, so I can't be
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, it's been same here.
Yeah.
But did you have Dr. Psycho or something? Or
Maybe I'd have to rewatch it. Like the even the bomb one I'm talking about was probably one of the last episodes that I saw recently, and that was 5 years ago. Was the last time I watched an episode of Wonder Woman. It's a good show. I should rewatch it.
no, but no, like for example, a good example of a street level superhero movie you could do is like for example, I'm trying to think of one. Deadpool. Like, well, you could take.
Yeah, Deadpool himself. I mean, there was a couple characters that were slightly above that, but everything they did was within the realm of street level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why does it have to be all spectacle all the time with aliens always invading Earth? Like how many times aliens gonna invade Earth?
Well, something you have to understand too is that the focus testing on this stuff, like the market tests, are not very predictive of the actual viewing market. And all of these movies are written by committee for the most part, right? Some of the best movies you see are actually written by one or two people. That's one of the reasons why, like, Joker astounded people, because that was written by the guy who directed it and some help from Phoenix. But it was mainly the director wrote that movie, as opposed to, like, you look at Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and that was written by, like, I think 15 people. And I do agree, there are loads of Batman the Animated Series episodes that could be fantastic street level movies. That would work on their own. You could just turn them into like an hour and a half long movie. But another one. So there's actually a street level movie coming out soon that has nothing to do with, I think, DC or Marvel. Because I think it was an indie comic that I just was never very familiar with. But Samaritan is getting a movie.
Never heard of that.
And he's going to be played by Sylvester Stallone. And he's kind of like a Superman or whatever, because he's functionally unkillable, right? He's pretty strong and stuff. But everything that I saw in the trailer was just like walking in the street. Maybe he could throw a car, but that might be the extent of what he can do, type thing, you know?
Wait.
Samaritan's
That's a
already
movie?
out on Amazon Prime. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's a
I
superhero
know.
movie.
I heard about the show, but it's a superhero thing. I didn't know.
Yeah. And it knows.
Yeah, I guess
cool, I have
that.
Amazon Prime, I'll watch it.
Okay, it's the thing. I have Amazon Prime too. But it's the thing. Sylvester Stallone old as hell. I thought it was just some kind of street. I thought it was just kind of like Rambo or something.
No, it's a superhero.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know it was.
Sylvester
I'll watch
Stallone
it.
old as hell.
I'll give you a review next time. Oh, wait. Marsupial finally responded to me. Can we start late? I can be ready in 15. I'm already started, boy. I'm done. I'm already started. Hop on when you can. Yeah, there we go. He's on his way. Right there in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, Samaritan is a superhero. It looks promising. It looks the way that they should be treating these movies. It kind of reminds me of before the trilogy was made, it was kind of ruined with Split and Glass, how like the original Unbreakable movie was.
I like Split, but I didn't know I saw Glass.
Split was okay on its own. I think retroactively it's a little bit worse because of Glass, but if you remove Glass from it, it's still a good movie.
Yeah, because Glass is disappointing. Yeah, because I heard they had all three of them die, and then somebody else finished the plot for them.
Yeah. GMT says, I could say what movie it's close to, but I don't want to spoil it. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Do as you feel. I do appreciate people who don't want to spoil things for other people, though. But that was the vibes it was giving me. It was giving me somewhat like Unbreakable vibes, just from the trailer. But yeah. Let's see. He says he's on his way, right? Let's see. Let's how long it takes. Let me check over. It's not even green yet. I'll give him some time. He said he needed 15 minutes to get ready anyway. Probably needs to, like, comb his hair or something. Get some type of caffeine in him. The whole movie series was terrible. The last one was worse. I mean, I do agree the last one was the worst. It's been a while since I've seen Unbreakable. I remember liking it, but I don't know. Maybe I have to rewatch it.
What's he talking about?
He's talking about the whole Unbreakable Split Glass movie trilogy.
Oh.
Like, I remember liking it, but I don't think I've seen it since I was, like, maybe 13 or 14 might have been the last time I watched it. So it's been quite a while. I like
watch it. I like both Unbreakable Split, but I never saw Glass. I'm probably not even going to be. I'm not even read that Ancient to see Glass.
Oh, you don't have to, because like, oh god, I'll even spoil it. When he gets finally taken out, it's basically the same way he did the other time, except this time he effectively fell into a puddle.
It makes no sense. How he drowned in the puddle? I know he knows his weakness is swim. He can't swim because it's a side effect of his powers. He's too heavy.
Yeah, I know.
But how the hell does he drown in the puddle?
I mean, it's a little deeper than that, but it's effectively a puddle. It's like, why? I agree, Game of Thrones. I'm not really a fan of M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong or whatever his name is. Yeah. There were some things I liked by Shyamalan back in the 90s. I thought he actually had some decent writing talent in the 90s. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he did too much cocaine.
The thing with Shyamalan is he always fucks himself in the end.
Yeah, well, I think a part of it, too, is he kind of got typecasted in himself, right? Like, you know how actors get typecast and they end up only playing the same thing over and over again? I think writers and directors can get that, too. And he kind of got pushed into that realm where everything has to have a twist, right? He's got to have some type of surprise twist at the end because he's M. Night Shyamalan. And people won't watch my movies if there isn't a twist, which I think is stupid, but he might have get pushed in there. I also think maybe he did too much drugs. I don't know. I don't even know if he's done any drugs. He just seems like somebody who has. So he doesn't write as well as he used to. One of the reasons Split, I think, even was as decent as it was, is because it was an older script that he didn't get to. Because he was originally going to make Unbreakable a trilogy. He had written Split and got back to it years later. So it's effectively like a late 90s Shyamalan script. that he directed more recently, and then Glass was written recently, and you can see the difference in his writing ability between the two movies.
Yeah, because a Split actually inspired me to write stories like similar to that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I think everybody looks at The Sixth Sense and they're like, yeah, that's actually a good movie, right? Like you can't look at The Sixth Sense and be like, that's not a good movie. But then like later stuff he did, I think the real hill, the breaking point was The Village, because The Village had a really good bulk to it, but the whole of the movie was bad. Right, and it's part of like how the split was handled at the end, and the whole costume thing. Like, there was a good idea there, but the execution was bad, and then everything just kind of went downhill from The Village.
Yeah, one of the stupidest things he ever made was Signs, which was kind of like that. It doesn't even make any sense at all. But
yeah, the best thing
like
about
Aliens?
Signs was Scary Movie 3 came out of it.
Yeah, because
Hey, there's Mars.
how am I a superhero gamer? Like the thing with Signs, you had aliens who are allergic to water. Water kills them like acid. But they come to invade planet Earth bare ass naked.
Yeah. They
And
come
why
to
they
a
invade Earth
planet that
anyway when
is
planet's mostly
made
water?
75% of water. Yeah.
All he had to do was wait for the rain, they'll die.
Yep. See, GMT says, he's like, Zack Snyder, I think he's one of the best visual effects directors ever, but full direction is beyond him. Yeah, probably. It's probably like similar to how I think about J.J. Abrams. I think J.J. Abrams is actually a great cinematographer, but he shouldn't be directing.
I know. And look, Zack Snyder's even worse at storytelling than J.J. Abrams.
But, Mars, how are you
I mean-
doing? Finally awake, joining us.
Yeah, he can't be okay if he has a good rider with him. But once you take him off the leash, he's one of the riders you gotta keep on a leash.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to
Yeah.
fix my headphones. I can barely hear y'all.
I said Zack Snyder is one of the writers you should keep on a leash. Take him off the leash, and you get Batman killing people, and yet, and then we have I don't know what the hell Batman vs Superman was like the Riddler as Lex Luthor.
Yeah, so my only problem with Zack Snyder, honestly, I think he probably could have made something that was cohesively good, but my problem with him is that he's easily influenced by other people. There was a couple, like, writer friends of his that he would always hire to work on the movies with him that I didn't think were very good, but also he didn't have complete control over his projects, right? Which is why people even preferred his cut of the movie over the final ones of almost any movie he did. There was a lot of like WB production oversight that would get involved, and one of the reasons why I'm more excited about the new stuff that's coming out, because it seems like they're just going to give them complete overhead over all the projects.
Yeah, like he had to shoehorn advertisements for the Justice League into Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
So he had to make that movie right after Man of Steel instead of Man of Steel 2.
Is he going to be directing the new Henry Cavill Superman?
No, I think that's going to be what's his face, the Guardians guy who did Suicide Squad.
Oh,
James
James
Gunn.
Gunn.
James Gunn
Yeah.
has him and the producer, God, what's his name? Is it like Pat something? The one who always works with him. They have oh no, it was it's something, but it's the guy who's always with James Gunn are going to have complete overhead of like basically all DC films and animation. So yeah. Now maybe they'll bring Snyder on, because if he's going to be the director and the producer for the department, that doesn't mean they won't have individual directors for movies. So we'll see. But right now, James Gunn is the one who's overseeing it.
I mean, that Suicide Squad was good, but what I don't get is, okay, the DC obviously needs restructuring since they just kind of throwing Chef Well on Steel 6.
Well, I think it is getting restructured. Even though Cavill's coming back, the way they make it sound is that they're effectively starting from scratch in every place they can. Right? Maybe they'll keep some things. I think Shazam is being kept. I don't know what they're doing with Aquaman. They keep talking about that, like, people like Heard and stuff like that, and what's his face? I can't remember.
Ezra Miller?
No, the guy who played Aquaman.
Jason Moore.
Yes,
Momoa.
Momoa. The people like that were still coming around for a new movie, but now that movie's being pushed back for like the next Aquaman. Who knows? Momoa wants to play Lobo now, which I would love to see. Them just
that would be
scrap
more fitting
all.
role.
Yeah, I would just like scrap all of the old Aquaman, start from scratch, let him play Lobo. He looks more like Lobo than he does.
His character in the movie he acts more like Lobo.
Yeah. He wouldn't have to cut his hair to play Lobo, which I know that was like a big thing on why Aquaman looks the way he does. He won't touch his hair. So that'd be great. You know, just put some white makeup on him and stuff. Just scrap most of the old stuff. It's been a decade. You know, just start as much from scratch. People who still want to play their roles, you can let them. I think it's fine.
Yeah, get rid of Ezra Miller.
Dr. Kane says, I can't believe I got fired from the Calendar Factory. All I did was take a day off, which I'm guessing that you're a fan of the Chive because I saw that Honeys and Funnies gallery today too, where that was one of the jokes in it. They do a gallery on Saturdays called Honeys and Funnies where they take hot pictures of women and they put dad jokes over them. I love the Chive. It's a great, great site. It keeps you young looking at pictures of women who voluntarily put them up.
Or am I?
What'd you say?
I said one of us is roboting out.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's not me.
Is it me?
No,
No,
it's
it's
fine.
when I heard metal, but it must have been on my end.
Yeah.
I think it's Marsupial.
Yeah, it was him.
Yeah.
We're fine though. You're cycloning pretty badly, according to GMT. Who
I'm
is
cyclone.
I hope you're feeling as good as you can, GMT. I won't talk about anything, but just running at 30% proficiency right now. So, you know, best wishes. Hope you're doing fine.
She need a tune-up.
Rest. I think she needs to just go into sleep mode for quite some time and just power back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know about Zack Snyder. I'll tell you what, his version of the Justice League was better than the one we originally got. But overall, I think his movies are pretty mid.
Yeah. I think
pretty-
he could do decent adaptations. But, one, I think he needs to be left alone and to actually write the adaptation himself, which he has not been allowed to do since, like, The Watchmen. And he needs to just be on one project at a time. There's some people just can't oversee multiple projects. It's just not in them. They just have to like dedicate onto one thing. And I think that's the type of person that Snyder's. Oh yeah, Sucker Punch is visually stunning. I love Sucker Punch. That's a good movie too.
Yeah. Well, I like James Gunn's stuff. Just
Yeah,
you know,
I think he's pretty good.
everything he does outside of Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, but he needs to mostly be on stuff, I think, that allows for comedic relief, which he's been doing just fine. He could do something that's fairly serious as long as there's just room for comedic relief. I don't
Yeah.
know if he handles anything that would be ultra serious very well.
hmm
But we'll see. Maybe
Sorry.
he'll even know his own flaws, right? Or like where I wouldn't even say flaws, but his own shortcomings, and hire directors and writers to fill in those spaces for movies that require it.
Was it James Gunn who directed the Suicide Squad?
No.
I think he did
No.
all of them, right?
No, David I is the guy who did the original crappy Suicide Squad after
Yeah,
2016.
the crappy one. Yeah.
No, the
But
new one. The new one.
No, James Gunn.
Yeah. That's what we thought.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Star-
yeah.
Starro was a good villain.
Yeah.
Starro is
What?
a very interesting villain, even in the comics. He's like, hey, we need an excuse to have like a legitimate threat here. It's like, okay, how about a guy who could take over superheroes?
Mhm.
Starfish.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Peacemaker. I've heard good things about it, but I just have not watched it.
I didn't bother watching it. I mean, he's one of those characters who is used primarily by DC as a dig at Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, there are plenty of characters like that in DC Comics and Marvel Comics. Like DC has another character called Red Lion, who is an evil African dictator who dresses like a cat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they all have, like, Marvel has entire side groups that are just copies of the Justice League that are there so
But
the
the evil.
Avengers can beat them up. Yeah, they're
But,
like an
but
evil Justice League.
like it's
And-
called Squad Supreme. That's what
They
it's called.
have them vice versa, too. Like, they have to take digs at each other. It's just what they do.
Mhm. Like Squad Supreme is led by Hyperion, the evil Superman. Nighthawk, the evil racist black version of Batman. By the way, they don't they can't have that now. By the way, but back in the early 2000s, that was the case.
No, I think they could still have it. You underestimate them. They could still pull it. You know, because the rule is you can't be racist if you're black. You know.
No, but back then he was treated as bad. He was treated as a bad guy though.
Yeah.
And
No, they would just use him as a good guy now. He would still do exactly all the same things. They would just say he's the good guy. Yeah. I want a good Steel movie. Steel would be great. I don't know. Maybe we could get a good Steel movie with the upcoming group of people, but I don't know.
maybe the Steel from TV from the TV show about that Superman Lois TV show.
I like Steel. Steel's a good character.
That actually okay to have in the new Superman Lois TV show.
That's another one I haven't seen.
The first season was good. I don't know about the second season. I don't know. I'm probably gonna suffer from the CW curse as usual. I don't know.
Yeah. There was something I wanted to talk about before we got onto this whole list. And actually, I guess because Marsupial's here now, we can argue. We probably won't argue. We'll probably just talk about our opinion. But I liked Weird, the Al Yankovic story, and you didn't care for it.
Oh. Correct.
Explain to me first why you didn't care for it.
I didn't dislike it. I mean, I thought it started out strong. I like the first half, and it kind of just went off the rails near the end. I didn't like. I mean, okay, so are we gonna spoil this or?
I
what do you wanna
think this
talk
movie, you can 100% spoil because the gist of it was just taking a sketch that's 9 years old on Funny or Die and stretching it out to a whole biopic.
Oh, really? I didn't see the sketch. What is that?
Yeah, no, this was based off
about?
of a Funny or Die sketch. Oddly enough, what's his name? Aaron Paul or whatever, the dude from Breaking Bad, right, who played Jesse, originally played Al in that Funny or Die sketch. Daniel Radcliffe was a choice that they came to when they were just making the movie. But if you go back, it was Jesse Pinkman played Al, and it was just a Funny or Die sketch about, like, biopics are stupid. Every biopic you've ever seen is kind of stupid. They're always made after the death of a person, right? And then they lie about half of their life. Like, there's just nuggets of the truth in there.
And not only that, but also pretty much the same. I mean, they all have the exact same story. I saw my report on YouTube. They all climax with this guy recovered from drugs. I mean,
Pretty much.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a whole movie making fun of this back in the early styles. It's called
Walk Hard.
Dewey Cox story was called.
Yeah.
Walk Hard. Yeah,
It was
Hard.
making fun of Walk the Lion. It was called Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story with Will Ferrell. Great movie.
Mhm.
Love it. And this was kind of done in the same vein, but with a real person. And the idea for the sketch was, what if we did a biopic that parodied biopics? Well, if you're going to do a parody of anything, why not Weird Al? Because his entire career is parodying things. Yeah, but also, to make it funnier, why don't we do it of somebody who's still alive? Because nobody does biopics of anybody who's still alive. And that was why they did one of Weird Al, who even showed up in the original sketch as the exact same role, the boss of his production company. Which that scene was basically taken right out of the whole Funny or Die sketch. And after, like, he even said, I watched an interview of it, for 9 years he would show that at his concerts as like a little opening act thing, like before he would go on, because he just liked it so much. And people were like, when's the movie coming out? It's like, it's just a sketch, it's just a sketch. But then 9 years later, of people asking him about it, it's like, well, what if we did make a movie?
Yeah.
And that's what led to this. And I thought it was brilliant because it did exactly what it was supposed to, making fun of biopics. It was comedic, but every actor in it played it straight as if this was a biopic, which I thought was the best part.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be, just sort of a comedic but at least accurate biopic at first.
Yeah.
And then, because it started out, I mean, obviously the beginning was absurd as well, but, I thought it was going to be at least somewhat based in reality,
Yeah.
with obviously the stuff about his father beating up the accordion salesman and everything.
Like the best.
I was like, okay, yeah, obviously probably not true, but as soon as it started to go into like, okay, now
There were nuggets of truth in there, though. Like, he did actually get his first accordion from a door-to-door accordion salesman who wasn't just selling accordion, he was selling accordion lessons.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I figured, was that it was loosely based on the truth with some Weird Al strangeness sprinkled in. But, then it goes into where he came up with, was it Beat It?
Beat It
I
first,
think?
and that Michael Jackson was parodying him. And they were like laying it on really thick that this is an original song never done by anybody else before. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, this is weird. And then when he starts dating Madonna, it was like, okay, wait.
Yeah.
And then,
I think his total interaction with Madonna through his whole life was like a 25-second call.
Yeah. And then, getting kidnapped by a Mexican drug cartel or whatever, and then like trying to take over the cartel. It was like, okay, this is, this went from funny and like quirky and, genuinely, to me, it was like genuinely humorous to just like, okay, this is stupid. This is just kind of just stupid territory by the time they're, in Mexico and all this stuff is happening.
Yeah.
The fuck is this?
I think for me, it was always off the rails, but I know a lot about Al. He's from a creative standpoint, he's one of the people I look up to. So he's one of those people, like, I've read a lot about his history. Kind of like he did record his first song in a public bathroom. That's actually a real thing that happened. There were a lot of things that were sprinkled in there. He didn't make his first break on the radio program that they showed in the movie, because the actual first big break was on the Dr. Demento show. So he did have like some connection to Dr. Demento. He wasn't really like a mentor for him, but like that is where like some of his earliest songs ended up playing for the first time for people. One of the things I'm surprised that they didn't wrap in there, but it's because they had to give him a troubled home life, because all biopics have troubled home lives. He got his name Weird Al as a disc jockey on his college radio station, right? Like that's the actual thing. I was hoping that he would actually go to college and be a disc jockey at a radio station. No, none of that, because they weren't going with his actual life story. But I kind of figured that when I saw the first trailer and I noticed, this is the Funny or Die sketch. It was directed by the same guy who made the sketch. This was his debut movie to direct. But also, like, the trailer just dead alone, this is going to be nothing like Weird Al's life. And if you know Weird Al's life, you knew even from the beginning this was nothing like his life.
I guess, yeah.
But I guess
I did like
the song at the end was actually kind of the bigger thing. Like, if you didn't know, you know now. This is all canon. You can't argue with it.
What was the song at the end?
Yeah, so, and I think we were slightly talking about this. At the very end of the movie, during the credits, there is a song, right? And it plays through the entirety of the credits. It actually has 2 fake out endings in the song. So the song lasts, like, I think 5.5 minutes long, which is how long the credits
I don't think I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and watch
the song
the
is
credits.
called Now You Know, and it's talking about how, like, everything in this song is 100% a fact. If you didn't know before, you do now and stuff. To me, I thought that was actually the best part of the movie, because it's like the icing on the cake after everything was done. Yeah.
You do know Weird Al did a show where Macho Man Randy Savage
Elbow dropped Harvey the Wonder
elbow
Hamster.
dropped a hamster? That sounds familiar.
Yeah. So, Weird Al used to have a show back called the Weird Al Yankovic Show, and Harvey the Wonder Hamster was one of the characters. He have a song called Harvey the Wonder Hamster, and during one point in time, Macho Man Randy Savage did elbow drop Harvey the Wonder Hamster.
Oh, did they kill him?
He's a wonder hamster.
Oh. I did like the scene where he goes with Dr. Demento, and there's all these stars. There's, like, you know,
every cameo possible.
Yeah. Jack Black was the
Wolfman Jack Black. I thought that was the best pun. It's like, oh, for Wolfman Jack, we're gonna get somebody named Jack. You know.
Yeah. And, you know, all these stars, and they're like, make up a song.
Yeah.
And then he does, like, right there on the spot. It was really
Brian
good.
Mays there. It's like another one bites the dust. Do it.
Yeah. Another one rides the bus.
Hey, one message I want to send out to people is that I want people to watch Take My Muffin. You seen that?
Take My Muffin.
It's a internet cartoon that only has 3 episodes because the creators guys scrambled to get money, struggled to get money together making each episode.
No, I haven't seen it. Feel free to link it in the content sharing. I love animation and cartoons on the internet. It's most of the stuff that I post in that chat anyway is usually animation, cartoon, a lot of Newgrounds ones. If you post it there, I'll watch it. I'll watch almost any animation.
I can't redo that. This is limitations by device, but
no, you could just I don't know, make a note, do it later. Yeah. But yeah, it's I love animation. I actually just posted one in there earlier today. Big Top Burger's back. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Big Top Burger, but that's a good one.
No, here's the thing. Each episode of Take My Muffin is actually 20 minutes long.
That's fine. That's like an actual cartoon show.
Yeah, but the creators guys struggle to get money together to make each episode, so it's only 3 episodes right now. And it's really funny. Funny is the concept is that there's a unicorn who lost his memories, and he has to work at a startup, some kind of startup tech company or something. Startup tech company. His boss is a cat with 3 eyes.
Is my audio better, by the way?
And each episode,
maybe.
and each episode he has to get enough money off whatever tech project they're working on to make another pill called a memory restoring pill, so that it's like he gives memories back, some of his memories back, and then each episode.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
It's really it's R-rated cartoon, hilarious, but it's done right because they're actually making jokes. It's not like you showing you the gross stuff and that's it. That's it. Like, no, they're actually going to make a full joke about it. Like, this is one episode which second episode was they made a device called the fuck adapter, which is designed to replace your penis with another penis of another creature, and try to sell it to a porn some guy who owns a porn studio or something. And the guy made him nasty, made some kind of weird porn with a bee and a flower. Like,
I don't know. You're starting to reverse sell me on this now.
I remember when there webisodes and those kinds of things were really in their heyday. What was like 10 years ago with the Guild and Legend of Neil and
what was the other one? Dr. Horrible Sing Along Blog was another big one back in the day.
I never watched that, by the way. I probably should.
Yeah.
Well, some of them are great now because you can just watch them as like one thing. Like all the episodes of Dr. Horrible have just been turned into a movie, and you can just watch it all at once.
Yeah.
But I think for animation though, that's still kind of how it's done. Is they're done like webisodes. Most of them aren't that long. People can't afford to make like 20-minute animations. That's expensive. But you'll get like 3 to 5 minute animations that you can find. One that I've been liking a lot recently, I think I posted it in the content sharing before, but they came back for season 2, is Sublo and Tangy Mustard, which takes place in a sub shop that's like a parody of Subway. It's called Subpar. And Sublo and Tangy Mustard are the mascots for the shop. And they're forced to be in their mascot costumes all the time. And at the very first episode, there's like a little commercial that explains why their stupid mascot outfits are the way they are. Because one of them's a sub, and one of them's a parrot with an eye patch. And that's because he was like the captain on a pirate ship who's protecting kids from like an evil sub that's trying to destroy them. Like, it's really stupid, but that just plays into the comedy of the show. And they had like a whole first season. They're on season 2, and it's just stupidly hilarious. I love it.
What's it called?
Sublo and Tangy Mustard. I can put it in the chat. You can always check it out later. Let me grab it.
Right.
I think it's on YouTube as well. That's how I was showing my brother because we were watching on the TV. But I typically prefer the Newgrounds links because I'm a Newgrounder. So that's just who I am. Where's the chat? Yeah, I'll put in the stream chat too. They have a collection too. It's become that big of a show that they have a front page collection for Sublo and Tangy Mustard. Individual episodes aren't that long, but if you just watch them back to back, it gives you a good watch time. And like I said, another one that I was watching was Big Top Burger, which just put out a new episode today. It's completely done in 3D. It's kind of compressed to look 2D, which is something I normally don't like, but there's a lot of character to this one. Even like the outlines kind of like squiggly and stuff. And it is about a group of people who work in a food truck called Big Top Burger. They're all dressed like clowns. They're selling hamburgers to each other. They've got a rival food truck that everybody looks like they're undead, like they're zombies. It's called Zomburger. It doesn't actually sell anything edible. The whole point to that is people want to take pictures with horrible food for Instagram. So that the novelty food, that's their rival food truck. Bad Food sells burgers. And it's wacky and chaotic. And I even think like half the lines are improvised. And they just animates over them. It is a good series.
Oh man, I forgot about Dr. Katz.
Dr. Katz.
That was a good series. I think, it occurred to me, I'm not sure if this is, I think this is true. It seemed like in Dr. Katz, they would have a comedian and just have them doing their set, almost like pre-recorded.
Yeah.
And Dr. Katz would just respond. I think it was kind of like Space Ghost Coast to Coast, where I'm not sure that they actually were talking. I think they were just doing doing
like
their set or
a-
something.
Or like Weird Al's interviews are kind of done the same way. Like he has the Madonna
Yeah.
interview and the Eminem interview where he picked like actual interviews from them
Right.
and then clipped it to answer his questions. Yeah.
Right.
I know.
Right.
I know he did. I know. I
Yeah.
saw the Eminem one. Eminem one. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I think that
that's
is what was going on with Dr. Katz. Yeah. I love Space Ghost Coast to Coast. That was such a good show.
I never watched that. I was surprised by that before I was born.
Yeah, I was young when that was on, but I stayed up and watched it anyway, even though I wasn't supposed to.
I'm not sure I ever saw it like
Yeah.
new episodes. I think I just always was watching reruns.
In a weird
And
superhero
was that-
cartoon series, look for Zero Man. I haven't heard of Zero Man.
Hmm.
It was that should be going.
Oh yeah, well, thanks for hopping on and
right.
helping hold down the fort until Marsupial showed up.
Yeah, thanks for covering for me.
So, bye bye.
See ya.
We gotta get this thing. This is not gonna work. I'm trying.
Leslie Nielsen as a
What else
super.
were we
I
talking
do
about?
like Leslie. He is a great actor. He's one of those like it's such a weird career trajectory. Since like for most of his time acting, up until his very first comedic role, he was a serious actor, and then Airplane hits, and he's done nothing but like straight-faced comedy acting since. But honestly, I went back and watched some of his old stuff. I like the straight-faced comedy acting way better. So yeah,
Hmm.
you are artifacting.
I am.
Oh yeah, you're actually not even moving.
Oh. Well, that's not good.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, you can?
there-
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, yeah. There. Oh no. I
Okay.
did see you. You were moving. There you go. I don't know. You look like for some weird moment, and maybe the filter that I put on OBS would have made it look even better for the people watching.
Yeah, I saw
did
there was
it
like
again.
lines along
You
the
almost
top.
look like I paused the VCR.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, but the audio sounds great. That's the most important part.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I couldn't figure out why my headphones weren't really working right. Like the wrong, the sound was coming out wrong, and it was like, okay, well, I guess I can hear them well enough. I don't know what the deal is. I realized for some reason, if I don't have the microphone set up right, the headphones don't work right.
Oh, that is
So
weird.
so when I fixed the microphone, all of a sudden the headphones started working. So Discord is weird.
It is weird.
Did you see Twitter blocked a link to a Mediaite article because they were critical of Elon Musk?
I did not see that. Oh, the Musk tyranny
Yeah.
begins.
Yeah. I'm
Man, if
wondering
I was in
though,
charge
if,
of Twitter, I wouldn't block anything that was critical of me. I'd promote it and be like, "Hey, free press, let's go."
Yeah. Let's see if it. No, it's not blocked. I don't know
Oh,
what
okay.
they're talking about. Maybe it was briefly, but it's not anymore. I would like links to BitChute are still. Well, I don't know if they are still, but for the longest time, links to BitChute were it gives you like this
Warning.
this site is not safe or whatever.
Which I like BitChute. I'm sad that it never really took off, and that's mostly because the problem with a lot of these sites, and I think Rumble kind of skirted it because even though it is a free speech site, it did have non-political people on it before they started getting political, right? The problem with
Yeah.
BitChute is there wasn't really anybody on it doing non-political things.
Mhm.
And it just became like the safe haven that people went to. And it's like, like people need a safe haven that they can talk about their leanings of things, but no site's going to
Yeah.
be successful unless you have like raw entertainment on it too.
Yeah, the links seem to be working now. I guess they got rid of the whole,
Yeah.
this site is not safe thing. This is interesting. Or
I
at
think
least
what also
link-
killed BitChute is that they can't figure out a way to get streaming working with the platform. And streaming is the big thing these days.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Links to BitChute.com still get this link may be unsafe, but BitChute found a way around it by linking to BitChute.xyz,
That's funny.
and then you don't get the warning. So yeah, it says this link may be unsafe. That's obnoxious. Hmm. I tell you, I want to go work at Twitter and take over the Twitter gaming account, because apparently I just saw an article that the Twitter gaming account hasn't tweeted since Elon took over.
Oh, that's funny.
You know, what my first tweet would be as the new owner of Twitter gaming.
What would your tweet be?
It would be new phone, who dis?
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Or maybe new owner, who dis? So if you see that, then you know that I'm running it.
Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't seem like that original response. There could be like 100 other people that would do the same thing.
No, it's me. Trust me, it's me.
Let's see. Okay, no, that was an article I had up. That was the whole Weird Al movie is perfect if you're in on the joke. Which I think that actually, what your complaint was valid. A lot of people just weren't in on the joke, right?
I like that. I'm going to write that down just in case I need it.
Get ready for Gamergate 2, bitches. That's a better start. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to write that down for real.
I wouldn't even put that whole thing because it would send enough people a buzz. I would literally just put hashtag Gamergate 2. That was it. I would put nothing else, and just the journalists would go crazy because the Twitter gaming account just put hashtag Gamergate 2.
Oh my god, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I think I had a thing about Twitter gaming up here. Yeah. It wasn't about Twitter gaming specifically, but it was about gaming on Twitter. They call them blue tick accounts instead of blue check accounts, but the fake gaming blue ticks are making Twitter even more chaotic because a bunch of people were hopping on, verifying themselves as like Nintendo of America and other companies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, can't imagine why all the advertisers are pulling out of Twitter as it shows a fake Nintendo of America account with a edited Mario flipping people the bird.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah.
Well, they've turned off the verification system for now. Until they can actually... That was one thing I was surprised at. I expected when they added verification to the Twitter Blue system that they would at least have some sort of verification involved in getting verified, you know?
Well, also, and somebody abused this immediately. It was Doja Cat, right? Who is a musician / comedian. And she was like, I don't want to be stuck as Christmas. Elon, help. It's like, you should be able to change your name now. And then immediately she changed it to Elon Musk and took that old picture of him before he got like the hair transplant and stuff like that. And it's like, that one's funny because after the whole original Elon thing, they did kind of lock it to where you can't change your name after being verified. But then that, pull the wool over is like, oh, well, you were stuck at Christmas. You're clearly not Christmas. Let me help you change it. And then boom, did the same thing everybody else did. Hilarious. I love it. But there really should be some type of thing where there, like a check system, you're about to be verified. Are you sure you want this to be your name? And then after you put in your actual name, they have to do another check to make sure it's like, okay, this is an acceptable name that fits with like either your username or your actual identity.
Yeah.
And then that's fine. Obviously, if you're going to be verified, you can't be changing your name all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Valve ones.
I don't know why
meme somebody put up too, where it's got the two different ones: the account information. This is verified because it's big, versus the verified account because you subscribed. And next to it is your role as a crewmate for the people who actually are pre-verified, and your role as an imposter if you have like the paid verification.
I mean, did verified accounts not go around impersonating other accounts before?
I don't know. Some of them I think did. Denkulo was verified, right? Because he wouldn't like specifically impersonate accounts, but he would always do like parody things where he was impersonating like a role or something like that.
Yeah.
He'd make up.
Yeah, he wasn't a real
his
person,
was more
but
comedic.
He was always doing a fake Supreme Court justice, but like he made up a name.
He was some duke or whatever, some off cousin member of the royal family or something like that.
Right.
But that's all, that's comedy, and I think people should be allowed to do comedy. My problem was there was a lot of comedians doing the whole Elon Musk thing, and some of them actually did it pretty fine. I laughed at them. There's a lot of people that were doing it just to be spiteful, and the border of whether it was comedy or not was kind of in the air. Do I think most of them should have been allowed to do it? Yes, I think you should be allowed to some degree impersonate the person who runs the platform, as long as it's clear that you're not, like if you're a parody account or whatever. But they just were tasteless, half of them. Lockheed Martini is a great pun too. That I'm sure that was a great account.
Yep.
One of my favorite accounts to follow is not a real person, and that's the I think Andrew Doyle's is his last name? Yeah, his Titania McGrath account, which is a fake, like SJW. And I was actually, before I found out that was a parody account, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go off on you, of this person, because they have the same last name as me, and then realize this isn't even a real person. It's like, okay. Now I love this account even more. Before I loved it because I was going to argue with it all the time, but now I love it because it's completely just satire.
Yeah, I didn't know who ran that.
Yeah, he's a comedian
from
the UK who just decided that he was going to fuck with people by making a fake SJW.
Mm-hmm.
His stand-up's actually pretty good too. I've seen quite a few of it. But yeah, I overall though, I like that Twitter is a chaotic space for now. Clearly, it seems that it's not going to be this way because of the way that a lot of this stuff is getting shut down, and also the way specifically anything targeted towards Elon's going. I do think a lot of this is the fact that it's new ownership. Everything is like the rules are in negotiation right now, but we'll see where it goes. I'm not too hopeful, but I do think no matter what, it'll be probably slightly better than the direction Twitter was going. But that's not that promising. that bar was really, really low.
Yeah, really. Well, apparently it's being used more than ever, so it's getting more traffic than ever. I guess there's no such thing as bad, bad press.
Yeah, which I don't think is entirely true. There's definitely a such thing as bad press. I just think, man, the press has to be exceptionally bad for it to truly be bad.
Yeah. Yeah, when they say, "Oh, there's crazy stuff going on Twitter. This is crazy." It's
Oh, I
like,
gotta see.
okay, yeah, I know. Everyone's like, "Oh, let me see. How crazy are we talking about?"
So, Pokemon. Here's a funny thing that's been going on in the news and trending and stuff lately, and it was Ash Ketchum's first Pokemon World Championship that he's won. Now, it's not the first championship that he's won. That was back in a few years ago. Is his 22nd year of going. This is his 25th now. His 25th year of being 10 years old. Yeah. So yeah, he should be 35 by now. But he won.
I only made it one.
Yeah.
I only made it 1 year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I watched. See, I'm trying to remember when I stopped watching it regularly. I think I watched every new episode until around whatever was Diamond and Pearl, right? Because like there was this filler season that wasn't Red and Blue, that was between the Johto and Kanto, and that was the Orange Island League. So Johto was season 3. Then there was 2 different seasons of Johto because there was Pokemon Johto Master Quest, so that was up to season 4 then. So Ruby and Sapphire would have been season 5. I think there was 2 of them because there was like an offshoot because of Fire Red and Leaf Green kind of brought things back. So I want to say season 7 was when I stopped watching it regularly. Then I would catch random episodes, and I haven't watched it since I think Black and White stopped was the last time I caught a random episode. But
I mean, I was only 10 years old for 1 year.
I thought you were talking about you only ever watched a single season of Pokemon.
No, I've watched lots of seasons of Pokemon. Okay. I was just 10 years old for only 1 year.
I think that's most people. Yeah. More often, people say they were 18 or 20 for multiple years, right? It's my 10th anniversary of my 20th birthday. I see a lot of people say that because they just don't want to say they're 30.
All right. So to answer GMT's question, no, I am 2 years older than Bart Simpson.
Okay.
If he basically, based on his age when The Simpsons originally came out, he was apparently born in 1979, and I was born in 1977.
So one of the reasons why this is a big thing, right, and why people are throwing a fit over this, because apparently it's Ash has finally achieved his lifelong dream of being the Pokemon World Champion.
But I thought that didn't happen a few years ago, right?
Well, this is actually where the problem is, right? Being the Pokemon World Champion or winning a World Championship couldn't be a lifelong dream of his. This 10-year-old. I guess anything could be because everything exists in a very weird spatial time for Pokemon, being that Ash is 10 for so long. But the World Championship hasn't existed until this year. Right? So he won a league championship. And the thing about the way Pokemon works is like every region has their own Pokemon league. So there are many different champions of each league. But this new, they actually have a name for it. It is the World Coronation Series, which is more to do with like the Sword and Shield stuff. Didn't actually exist until very, very, very recently. And it's like, so it had to have been his lifelong dream for the last 5 minutes of his life or something like that, you know, like one of those things. So it's been my lifelong dream since Thursday.
Yeah. So did he only ever win one league championship?
Yes. Prior to this, this I guess you could say this is his second league championship. But yeah. Yeah. And his lifelong ambition was never to even be a champion of a league. It is to be the very best, like no one ever was. Which could be beating a league, but like in the games, and I think this is actually how it started out for Ash too, because he kind of like stumbled upon the fact that gyms were a thing very early on in the show. It's like, oh, Pokemon gyms, yeah, I guess I'll start doing those as well. The whole goal is to catch Pokemon and fill out your Pokedex. Now, they kind of fucked this part up in the show very early on. The Pokedex is already filled out and just gives him information on the Pokemon instead of the other way around. But to be a Pokemon master is not about like beating a league or anything. It's actually filling out a Pokedex. It's like getting your master's degree in Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Ash's lifelong dreams are all over the place. Apparently, the only one that he doesn't have a dream for is contests. He always lets the chick that's running around with him do that instead.
Now you have to actually capture the Pokemon for it to go in the Pokedex, right?
Yes, sort of. So to actually fill out the entry, you have to capture it. And the way I've always interpreted it, they've never explained it, but this is my interpretation, and a lot of other people share it, is the reason you get the image right away is because you can only kind of like Jane Goodall get so much information from watching from a distance. You have to actually get close and interact with something to get good information on it. So you get your good information after you capture it. It's a little more docile, and you can like poke and prod it and find out things about it. That's my interpretation, right? So you'll get like the picture, you'll get its cry and stuff, things you can get from a distance, but your core information you don't get until you've actually captured the Pokemon. You can measure it precisely, figure out how much it weighs, things like that.
So, I mean, has he captured, like, you know, all the god Pokemon?
Ash is a horrible Pokemon trainer by most standards. He's lost most leagues he's ever competed in, right? But, like, even from just the capturing point, the actual trying to become a master, Red, who is supposed to be his counterpart in the game, catches all 150 Pokemon in his Pokedex. He never gets Mew, but Mew isn't officially in the game's Pokedex. So he catches everyone up to Mewtwo. Ash, to date, has still caught less Pokemon than Red has, even though he's seen more Pokemon. Ash, on average, catches about 10% of all the Pokemon there are, and roughly about, based on what he's seen, a third of the Pokemon that he encounters, like in the wild. We're not counting like Pokemon that other people own that he doesn't have the opportunity to catch. But he captures about a third of wild Pokemon he encounters. None of them are legendaries.
Yeah, he's not even close to the very best. Like no one ever was.
Yeah, if anyone, Gary is way better than him. And his career path even shows that. Not only did Gary get more badges than Ash did in the original Pokemon League, because apparently there were other towns you don't get to go to in the game that he could have gotten badge. He had 10 badges before he lost to Giovanni. He's like, well, I didn't need that badge to get into the league anyway. And he had a group of cheerleaders because Gary motherfucking Oak is the best. But he actually went in his grandfather's career path and became a researcher and has caught way more Pokemon than Ash did. If anybody is a good trainer, Gary kicked his ass.
So I think Ash is just lucky that he has like the ridiculously high IV
Pikachu.
Pikachu that's just like
his Pikachu is practically a legendary Pokemon.
Yeah, right. Like he'll never evolve, but apparently he's like way above level 99 or something.
Oh yeah, like for some reason his stats are better than a Raichu of the same like age or whatever. Like what? But your stats go up quicker when you evolve.
Yeah. Not this one. He just he got like a Pikachu 2 or something. Some sort of bizarrely
So apparently they actually did and the episode was based on an internal talk for the studio. They did toy around with possibly having Pikachu evolve into a Raichu, but focus testing the idea, they didn't think kids would be happy with it because Pikachu's like the mascot of the show. And then they did like a whole little episode based on that discussion and focus testing. Pikachu is basically Gohan. He's way stronger than he should be for no reason.
GMT says, I want to be 10% of the very best. Doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw, it might have been a Game Theorists video where they calculated like the actual level that either Pikachu or Ash would be by now or something like that. And it wasn't very high.
Yeah.
Based on what we've seen.
Oh, it's even worse than that. So like the show kind of breaks a lot of like in-game physics, but even like the things that happen in the show aren't that consistent. Ash himself doesn't need a Pokemon. Right? Like, he only needs to use Pokemon because that's the league rules. Like, you do Pokemon battles. But, like, there have been scenes where Ash has picked up a log from a tree and threw it with one hand. Right? And, like, Ash. So, people always laugh. It's like, Ash, why are you running up and trying to punch Mewtwo yourself in the movie? But then you see scenes like that in the show. You're like, oh, I get why Ash was trying to run up and punch Mewtwo himself.
Yeah, he's Superman, basically.
Yeah. Who needs HM strength for a Pokemon when Ash can just lift the boulder himself?
Yeah, it turns out we eventually find out Ash actually is a legendary Pokemon.
Yeah.
It just happens to look like a human.
That's the thing. So he's been trading in all the experience he should be getting for his age in for levels. So while he's stuck at age 10, he's like level 75 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I saw that and I was like, wait a minute. I seem to remember he already won something major like three years ago.
He won
Something
the Kalos Pokemon League Championship.
Mm-hmm. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now he's done he's completed his lifelong ambition that didn't exist until just recently.
Yep. But we also recently, talking about the actual games, there have been leaks about things that are in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that came out recently.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a leak of all the Gen 9 Pokemon, or not every Pokemon that's in the game, but all the ones that are the new Gen 9 Pokemon to the game. And it had some people questioning some of the additions, including some of the things that are like, usually versions will have something that's exclusive to the version, so you have to get like both versions if you want all the Pokemon to trade between them. And more so, people are saying that the game just doesn't look good enough. And that has been a very consistent complaint amongst people who have been like reviewing it in person. They haven't been allowing people to plug in their capture devices to capture video for their reviews. They have to use just like the like direct trailers and gameplay footage in the background when talking about it. But most people are saying it's just like the game just doesn't look that good visually, and also performatively. It has like frame rate drops and stuff like that too. Yeah.
Haven't they been saying that with every Pokemon for like the last 3 Pokemon in a row?
They've been saying it since the Switch transition, basically, right? Not so much in Arceus. I think a lot of people looked past the graphics of Arceus just because of the gameplay. But Galar, the Sword and Shield, a lot of people criticize. Part of it too is like the trees just look like they were cardboard cutouts in the background and stuff like that. But this one, I don't know. People are saying it looks worse than Arceus, which I get. It's supposed to be using a lot of the same assets. It's in the exact same engine. It's the one that was built for Breath of the Wild that Arceus was used, and it was kind of like they sent it to a third party to build that game as almost like a tech demo for what they were working on for the main game at the same time. But this is done by Game Freak. It's not done by the third party that did Legends Arceus. So while Arceus did struggle a little, Pokemon at a distance seemed pretty reasonable. This one apparently is dropping it. Pokemon that are right in your face seem fine. You can see a lot of hard polygon lines at times too. Again, there's frame rate drops in areas where there's just like a lot of things going on at once. Sometimes Pokemon like come in and out of existence rendering wise. We don't know.
It's the Switch, man. They really need to come out with a Switch Pro. It's really
Yeah, well,
things really hurting.
I only agree with that because apparently people who aren't Nintendo themselves don't know how to deal within the limitations of the Switch, right? Because
Yeah.
while Game Freak works with Nintendo a lot, I mean, they are the company that does Pokemon. They co-own the Pokemon company with them. They aren't Nintendo, right? So they're being handed the Switch to work with, and they're being handed the Breath of the Wild engine to work with. But this isn't something they made themselves, you know. So they're trying to work with it, and they also work with phones, and they also work. Occasionally, Game Freak will put something on PlayStation. They work with things that are more powerful than the Switch, and then they're jumping back to work on the Switch. And some companies are bad with working with limitations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the problem is that Nintendo can't hold everyone's hand.
Yeah.
And if Nintendo found, I mean, it's not a matter of just telling them like, okay, just do this instead of this or this into, it can get really complicated and be like, okay, show me what you're doing in this situation and that situation. And then if we were doing it, we could figure out a way to get the frame rate up and get the graphics better.
So this is actually probably the one time when I really agree with you that they need a new one. Because I don't really care when most third parties can't figure out how to use the limitations of a system. A lot of them are trying to basically deport games. And the way they figure it out when it does work is they get a mobile version of the game and they give it controller support, right?
Yeah.
But if Game Freak, who is a company you've been working with for 25 years now, can't figure out how to use the limitations of your system, and you can't even send people over there with your very, very tight partnership with this company to help them figure it out, then maybe you just need to make a more powerful system.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
I mean,
This was the make or break case for me on it.
Yeah, I mean, you can say all day long, well, if they did it right, they could have gotten it better, but it's freaking Game Freak. Like, okay, but they didn't, and they're not going to, so suck it up. You need to throw more hardware at it.
Yeah.
Nothing more to do about it. It's just not working. Or they need to, and I mean, they need to have some new version of the Switch that like is easier to make work better or something. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is.
Now, honestly, to me though, from what I've seen, I don't think it looks that bad. My requirements for a game to look graphically good are probably a lot lower than most people's are in the modern day. The big thing that concerns me is that I keep hearing frame rate problems, and that is the thing I care about. I care far more about frame rate, which would be drastically improved from a hardware improvement anyway, because that would just give them more processing power. But like, frame rate, it decides whether a game is playable or not. The way a game looks doesn't necessarily decide whether it's playable.
It really seems like, I've been talking about this for years, and they could just throw the latest NVIDIA Tegra and that it would just be virtually the same, only just faster.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly how that works.
I think they're just worried about falling into a situation they've done in the past with, like, say, the new 3DS and the 3DS, or even, like, how people didn't even understand that the Wii U was another console from the Wii. I don't think you can do a Switch Pro that way, because people won't pay attention. They'll be wondering, like, why does this game crawl to a stop? Or you end up with a Hyrule Warriors where certain missions are just undoable because it won't render enough people on the field for you to actually finish it. Like the kill 1,000 enemies ones. Like, they'd actually have to just make it a Switch 2 if they're going to upgrade it, or something like that.
Or just something just completely different.
Yeah, something where would it confuse people.
Yeah, because I mean because then you'd end up with games that don't work on the original Switch, and because you want that, you want to move on, but.
Yeah, and even if like Nintendo kept making games that worked on it, the third party is like, why would I make a game for the weaker system? Because that's how everybody thinks, is like, I need to make the most visually stunning game I can make at this current time, Yeah. Call it the Blade. The Switch and Blade, the Switch Blade. Yeah, that's fine.
GMT says she doesn't have the urge to throw a controller when she's holding her Steam Deck. I guess because then she'd be throwing the whole Steam Deck.
Yeah. I I think most people feel that way when they're playing the Switch on dock too, because they would just be throwing literally the whole console. Though, my mom's come close to throwing the whole Switch in her hand. And she's even yelling, like, oh, I wish I could throw this. So at least there's some repellent to it, but she's come really, really close to it. I never understood the whole controller throwing mentality, period, but I'm also usually really delicate with my stuff. That's why everybody was even surprised there was a spill on that hard drive. Like, I'm usually really, really good with my stuff. But, like, man, I've seen so many people just throw controllers. And
I've never done that.
Yeah, I don't
What
know.
is it? I have one question for you. What is the deal with the salt in the background? Is that are people getting salty around your house?
No, that has to do with drugs.
Okay.
Yeah. And different things. Like, I forget exactly what they're doing with it. Pot, things like that. There's also
Seriously?
you mix it with the alcohol and stuff like that too. I don't dabble in that stuff, but other people do.
You got a meth lab going on down there or something?
No. Though after we were evicted years later, the house I grew up in for like 15 years of my life, there some people went in and were squatting, and there was a meth lab explosion. It's been cleaned out. Like, they gutted the whole garage where the explosion was, changed out all the insulation and stuff. It's completely clean. There's like a family who's been living there for years now. But it was pretty funny to hear that the person who basically kicked us out of the house, well, I mean, they had to, because my parents just weren't paying the bills. But like the person who kicked us out of the house had to deal with the fact that a meth lab exploded in there because he wasn't regularly checking on to make sure nobody was doing shit in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't understand the mentality. Like, I get it. GMT, you're losing a race by like almost no time at all. Like, genuinely, the clock barely counts it from the in-game system. But like, I don't throw controllers. I never even have the urge to. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Also, it's really hard to make me angry. I think that's part of it too. Like, I don't rage. It's fun to watch people rage, I guess. Have you ever watched the Rage Quit videos by Michael something? I can't remember his last name, but it's before he joined Rooster Teeth, he used to have a series called Rage Quit, which was just him like throwing fits and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't really usually get angry at games all that much. Except, I guess I got a little bit upset at some of the Final Fantasy playthroughs that I did. I was like, "Come on, give me a break."
Yeah. At least you didn't play 8 long enough. Maybe you actually would have destroyed a controller or something. If,
maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I do. The game that I've actually known people in my Link shell to have destroyed a keyboard. He actually didn't play for a week until he got a new one. It was back in the day when I was playing Final Fantasy XI. We were fighting a boss, and he was the only person that died in the whole boss. It was the summoner on my team. And not only did it not... it counted the clear for him, so he didn't have to fight the boss again because he was in our party. But he died, so he had just leveled before that. He de-leveled in the boss, and now he was like a level down from all of the rest of us.
No.
Yeah. Because in Final Fantasy XI, when you lose experience, you de-level.
Ooh.
Not always. When you die when you lose experience, but like you only lose 10% of your current level's worth of experience. Most of the time, that's just be like you're just set back a little bit before leveling again. But in certain cases, if it drops you below what you needed to be at that level, you will go back down a level. Your stats will drop and everything.
Yeah.
Sucks. But that's just the part of the game, you know.
Yep.
I think, we've hit past the 30-minute mark. I was willing to go a little bit longer since you showed up late, but I don't really have anything else worth talking about. There's new stuff coming to Final Fantasy XIV soon, but that's going to be like in January anyway. make fun of Starfield players because they were all mourning the fact that 11/11/22 is the day it was originally supposed to fully launch, showing the screenshot of the console deck in the spaceship. So, haha, sorry, Starfield players. I can't even say, like, the game's launched for all I care. You know, it's an active development title. You could say it's been in early development. You could say it hasn't launched yet. It's completely playable. You could pay money for it. I don't. Whatever. Well, it's not completely playable. It's only available for the beta testers. But whatever. Like, the 100 people that actually care about Starfield right now can play it. Maybe more people are concerned with Starfield after it launches because it's supposed to be their Fallout replacement. But I don't know. It just doesn't look that entertaining.
I've never been particularly interested in it.
Yeah. I think more people just want it to come out because as soon as it's actually released, that means they actually start on the next Elder Scrolls, and that's what they're interested in, right?
Yeah, when's the next Elder Scrolls coming out?
Probably anywhere between 2 to 5 years after Starfield finally releases.
Okay.
Which is still 2 to 5 years is a big window, but that's you don't know. Most games are only supposed to take 2 years to develop on the average cycle, and you just throw more money. But honestly, I think we should allow games to take longer. People are just impatient. But it's Bethesda, so it might take 5 instead. Who knows?
When is Metroid Prime 4 coming out? Jeez.
I don't know. The devs actually recently revealed some weird game secrets about the Metroid Prime series. That was one of the things I had up. Where there was a bug that forced the devs to put a GameCube in their break room freezer.
Really?
Yeah. That's what it says, yeah.
Like while they were playing it, or?
Yeah,
heated
I'm
up?
trying to find the actual context to it. Because they've been sharing daily development stories leading up to the game's 20th anniversary, which is on the 18th.
Yeah.
And where's the one about the freezer? There's a bunch of these here.
Yeah, I saw one about static being game code.
Yeah.
Like, I guess static on the screen at sometimes. In some places, they use
I
game
found it.
code to just display.
So the most absurd story comes from Jack Matthews, a technical lead engineer on the original Prime. Shortly after the game's launch, Nintendo contacted Retro about a bad batch of GameCube CPUs. So it's about the CPU itself, and I guess the game was able to show the problem, and it only exhibited bugs in Prime. Initially, the devs couldn't figure out a way to test the issues, and to see the problem, the kit had to be cold. And the only way they could figure a way to drop the temperature of the test kit to test the CPU was to put the kit into a freezer, test the game for 15 minutes tops, and then start all over. It was really crazy. And they were basically running it from the freezer in the break room with a TV plugged in to see what the issue was. And they finally figured it out.
That's really weird. Like, why would it only show up when it's cold?
I don't know.
And who cares? Like, did it affect anything if it wasn't cold? I mean,
apparently it only really showed up in Prime anyway because it was working the CPU harder than like any of the other games were.
Weird.
But like, I don't know. You could have heating, but what if you buy a GameCube and you live in a cold environment? There's plenty northern environments where people might want to play GameCube, right? And you don't want to run your heating all day, right? You turn it on and off, try to save electricity because it's expensive. And maybe your GameCube gets cold. Very weird circumstance. Again, Prime at the time was the only game that was showing it off. Maybe some other games after it might have used the system more, but you know, Nintendo has always been like really, really focused on making sure there aren't like extreme technical problems with their systems. You know, until Joy-Con drift was a thing. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really had to talk about. Unless you have anything before we wrap up.
Well, another story was that apparently, you know, even back then with the GameCube, they had to really try to save on memory
Yeah.
and they had they were trying to display static on Samus's visor, and so they had a low resolution texture 64 by 64 that was the best they could do with the memory limitations, but it didn't look very good.
Yeah.
So one engineer came up with a great idea of just using the memory holding the Metroid Prime code itself and just display that on the screen. And I guess it apparently looked great. So
Yeah.
that's
I remember the static. I don't really remember being able to tell what
Oh,
it
it's
was.
weird.
So.
yeah, I don't know if it actually like showed it in English, but I think it was just, we're just going to use whatever's in those memory bytes
Yeah.
as a texture, and just it's basically it's going to look like random noise, and that's just what they used because it was already in memory. And so it's just like, all right, here's some random static.
Yeah, there was a real problem with the GameCube because the discs were higher capacity than like many CD-ROMs and stuff that had come just before it, but they weren't like full-size DVD discs. They had the same.
Yeah,
They're
like
basically DVDs. They had DVD capacity, but they were smaller, so that's less that you could burn onto the physical surface of it. So you already had that as a memory issue. You had another storage issue where you weren't allowed to put any of the game's data, really, on the memory card. It was only for save data. With like the sole exception, they found a way of getting some of the necessary play data for the game onto the Animal Crossing card by making the save data part of the actual operating data of the game. They were kind of cheeky there. And you had to have a dedicated memory card just for Animal Crossing. It took up basically the entire memory card. The game came with it when you bought it. There was an Animal Crossing memory card in the game. And but you could have wrote it onto any card. But yeah, so there were so many limitations. And sadly, the one limitation that they didn't have was RAM, and I don't know why. The GameCube actually had more RAM than the PlayStation 2 did at the same time, and they could have used a lot of like switch operations using the RAM to make up for some of their issues by reusing a lot of code and just kind of like flipping it around, and they didn't. I think there was like maybe 2 studios that did that with a couple of games, but people instead of trying to like conserve storage and try to make up with it by like just reusing things with the multitasking, they decided, no, we're gonna try to focus it all on just hard memory. But your discs are so small.
Yeah.
No.
It's probably one of those things where it's just like, if you can't figure out how to do it, then it might as well not exist. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
They could have, yeah.
Well, it's kind of like with
the
reusing the bits of code that were already there is kind of like part of that solution. Yeah. It's like there's so many like, okay, if we make this texture in this way, we could also just like flip or rotate the texture or do like a color shift on it, and that won't take up any more storage. It'll just take up more RAM for us to use. Like there's certain cheats that they could use, but like you also have to be smart enough, I guess, to think of it, and not every studio is going to think of stuff like that. Some people were really good with that on the PlayStation, because they also had like 64 by 64 pixel limits for tiles or whatever. Or no, they had 124 was their tile limit, but still they wanted to look really good, so they would just or 128, sorry. They would just rotate it, right? So they would make like a circle. Yeah. And they would just make like the quarter of the circle, and they would rotate it around, and they have the whole circle from 4 tiles and stuff like that. So it just, I guess it depends how creative your engineers are when they're working on stuff.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. Okay, well, there we go.
That's all I got.
I think that's a good wrap up. Yeah. Thanks for showing up. Thanks again to Vishozo for, I guess, filling in the blank until you did show up. Were you asleep? Tell me, were you asleep?
Maybe a little.
Okay.
Just a little asleep.
How'd you like my hieroglyphs? I think it almost told like a story. Yeah. But
I didn't think I had to set an alarm because I didn't.
Usually Saturday's not the problem.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll just take a little nap here, and like 3 hours later, I'm like, oh shit, what time is it? Why is it dark out? Damn it.
Yep. Daylight
boy.
saving. That's probably actually what got it, right?
Probably,
Because now the
yeah.
hour's off. If it was a normal Saturday, you would have woken up functionally an hour earlier.
Maybe. Or an hour later. I don't
Something. I don't know. Daylight savings fucks everything up. I'm gonna just blame it on that.
know. Yeah.
We need to get
Very
rid of
good.
it. In fact, I'm always for GMTs. One single time zone for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't old. Well, I don't know if it was an old man nap. It was a nap because I stayed up too late last night.
Yep.
Need to get to bed early on Friday nights.
Yep. Anyway.
Oh well.
Yep. What can you do, right? But thank you all for watching. If you enjoy the show, please share it out with somebody else who would enjoy it as well. Grow the audience. And if you really enjoy the show, considering giving a donation to, streamlabs.com/vomitorium live, as you see at the bottom of the screen there. Helps us out, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yep.